Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak in Valley Cottage, New York. I'm joined by my two great friends, Ray Clifford in Ohio, Ralph Sharega, who's in Massachusetts. Guys, how we doing? How you doing, Ray?
Doing good. Finding some nice weather here. The last few days have been gloomy and not a lot of rain, but drizzly. Now it's sunny and nice football Saturday.
Well, all the rain's going down into the New York City subways. I don't know if you've seen pictures.
Apparently,
It's unbelievable what's going on down
Basically,
there.
along with everything else that goes into this.
That's
But
true.
at least the New York subways work. The Boston subways, they just built this new extension, and a year later, the track is already broken.
Oh boy! But Ralph, and how you doing, Ralph? Good.
I'm doing fine. Yeah, we're going to get the nice weather tomorrow, so
Yeah.
we'll be fine.
But just a little quick, the thing with the subways that always scared me is that after they get drowned by water, what comes next?
The rats, right?
Rats.
Yeah, but I'm reading articles that rats are really nicer than we think, so that's good.
Okay. Anyway, we're recording this the day before the Jets are going to host the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. And need I say the name of Taylor Swift at all? I'm so tired of hearing about her, but she'll be at the game. And we're recording this Saturday, September 30th at 12 noon. But before we do, I came up with a trivia question.
Let me just say one thing about Taylor Swift. She ruined our season because, Aaron Rodgers was dancing at both those concerts. There's probably wear and tear on his Achilles. And so I blame her.
True. You're right. All right, here we go. The Jets have played the Chiefs 40 times. They're one of, the original AFL teams.
Actually, they were the Dallas Texans originally.
That's true. The Chiefs lead the series 20-19 and one tie.
Nice.
Okay, it's very close. All right, so the one tie happened on October 2nd, 1988 at Giants Stadium. It was a 17-17 tie. Ken O'Brien was the quarterback. Now, here's the question, and I'm going to give you choices to make it a little easy for you. Who was the Jets' leading receiver that day? And within two, how many receptions did he have? And I'll give you the choices. Here we go. Was it Al Toon? Was it Mickey Schuler? Was it Freeman McNeil? Was it Wesley Walker? Or was it Kurt Sohn? We're going to come back to that at the end. That's the choice, and I'll reread the question. All right, here we go. First thing I just want to say also is, Ralph, I spoke to Ray about this. This ripping of Zach Wilson is just starting to get so personal. And
it's terrible.
As a father and grandfather, I just wish and hope people could divide the football skill on the field and the person as a human being, because people got to remember this guy has brothers, he's got parents, he's got friends, and he's just taking such garbage from everyone. And it's just, I can't help but feel for this guy. He's without a doubt over his head on the field, but people, you got to understand he's a human being, and I'll be cursing at him tomorrow. So I just want to bring that up. And Ray, give me your reaction to what's been going on and what they've been saying about this guy.
Well, I think it's been brutal. I mean, and it's everybody. It's, the fans is one thing, that's not that's a lot better, but at least, if you're just a fan, you overreact to everything that happens with your team. But, Joe Namath, who was my first, hero as a kid, that to me was disappointed to hear him go, all in on just tearing him up. I mean, I get it. A lot of what he said was right, but, I think he just took it a little too far with his comments. Then Stephen A. on ESPN calling him hot garbage. And I'm just like, this kid's 23. He can't do anything. If he tunes in the TV and goes to any sports, he's going to hear about him being ripped. If he's on the radio, he's being ripped. If he reads any newspaper or online articles, he's being ripped. I was like, he's a kid still, and it's not like he's trying to suck. He just isn't right. At least so far in his career, isn't this is over his head. It's not working for him. But it's just getting too I won't even say personal. It's just just trashing him, no matter what it is. And I just can't imagine what it's like for him in New York of all places to be
No,
having to
it's
get up and listen
yeah.
to it.
It's 24/7, and the Taylor Swift was a little bit of a diversion. But Ralph, you're a parent, and how do you feel about it? And again, we're separating what we're seeing on the field and what he is as a person, and a brother, and a son.
Well, I read a lot of the Jet threads, and fans are passionate, and they really do get. This has been going on for a while with him. It's gotten worse, but it's been going on for a while with him. Insulting him because he wears a headband. That I've been hearing that since he was a rookie, and they think he's a rich brat, and that kind of stuff, and they don't really know him. So I'm not surprising, and it's taken off. And I think some of it is just 20, 30, 40, 50 years, how many years you've been a Jet fan of frustration, and it's all coming down on him, all because Rodgers got hurt. This wasn't supposed to be the way it was. It's really the Joe Douglas's fault for creating the situation where he was going to step in if Rodgers got hurt. That shouldn't have happened. And the funny thing is, I never got a chance to say this, Marty, but before Rodgers got hurt, I was going to say this about the week before the season started. I had never heard so much talk by football fans about their backup quarterback. They were obsessed with Zach Wilson, even when Rodgers was their starting quarterback before he got hurt. And I was just like thinking, why are you talking about this guy? He's not our quarterback. He's just a backup, but there's something about him. I know a lot of people claim after the fact they didn't want to have him. I know there was a lot of debate whether they should take him or Justin Fields. Obviously, it doesn't matter. Justin Fields is a bust too at this point. And so is Trey Lance, and Mac Jones is so-so, and even Trevor Lawrence is struggling. So it's really tough for a quarterback to get thrown in and make it in the NFL like that. It's just really tough. And it's New York, and he's particularly bad. And I felt like I started getting personal a while ago, and now it's just gone, exponentially worse.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, I mean, we don't like him as a quarterback, but we're trying to, separate it. And by the way, Ralph, you mentioned a litany of quarterbacks, and let's just throw C.J. Stroud. I don't think anybody could see this coming, how well he's been playing.
No, they couldn't, but it's still early. I remember, yes. I remember what's his name? Kyler Murray started out like a real house of fire, and look at what happened to him. So it's early, but it's interesting. We'll see.
Right. All right, Ray. The question is, and again, I don't want it to become just all a bashing of Zach Wilson, but we have to discuss him. What do you think? Do you think he'll be the quarterback in the second half Monday night? Oh, I'm sorry, it's Sunday night, right? Sunday night.
Right.
What's your opinion?
I do. I think at least at this point, I mean, I don't think Kansas City's defense is nearly as good as the ones they faced before. I think.
And by the way, their linebacker, I think, what's his name, Bolton, or the good linebacker, is not playing. He's been ruled out, which is huge. But go ahead.
They have a good defense, but I just don't think it's. Now they got their main pass rusher back, and that's the one that's going to really, be able to mess things up. But I don't think overall their defense, in my mind, isn't as good as what they had faced in the previous games. And so I think there's a chance he can do some things in there. I'm just hoping if he gets off to a good start, I think he can maybe make some things happen. But it's in New York, so if he throws an incomplete pass on the first play, the boos will come raining down, and it's going to just snowball from there. But if he can get off to a decent start, I think he can do some stuff against this defense. I'm not impressed with our defense enough to think we can stop them. So,
yeah. How about you, Ralph? By the way, Nick Bolton is the linebacker who's out. He's really a good
football player. Yeah.
Excellent. What's your take on him?
My opinion is that I don't think, Wilson, certainly deserves a lot of the blame. I don't think the Jets have been putting him in a position for him to succeed. we talked for a couple of weeks, and then Romo kept saying they're passing on the wrong downs. It's just, when teams are loading up on them, daring them to pass, and they weren't reacting to it. Now, hopefully, they're going to learn their lesson from last week when the only successful drive they had was, passing on running downs and running on passing downs and mixing it up a little more, get a little more creative, give the guy a little bit of a chance because the offensive line is below average. And, like I said, teams are loading up. I don't think Kansas City's defense is all world. I didn't think, New England's defense, they were missing 3 defensive backs? They weren't that strong either. I just think the approach was bad. The funny thing is, I think if they had a better game plan, they could have won that game. They were right there, because as usual, New England can't move against the Jets either. But, I think it's a systemic thing. And I think it's up to the coaching staff to, if they're going to improve it all, it's on them.
Ralph, the way it's going, though, and take into account, we had all these high hopes for the Jets defense. They didn't have one sack against the Patriots.
Or turnover. They haven't had a turnover. Did they have
the
any?
First game.
Yeah.
No, it's the first game. Well, that's because
But we did drop a second pick six in a row.
Yeah, his friend. That's your friend, Ray Sauce. But Ralph, how much of the preparation, though? Do you put on Coach Saleh not getting a sack and the way the defense has looked the last game?
Oh, Saleh, Ulbrich, I don't know. I think the defense has been, obviously the pass rush has been disappointing. I think the coaching staff needs to come up with ways to get, more pressure. They have enough players, and they might not be the best, but every team should be getting some sacks in a game. You're asking a question about should a McDonald get more time? Yeah, I think they should try playing McDonald more. Jermaine Johnson, he works hard. He just doesn't get to the quarterback.
Doesn't he's not. Yeah, that was my next question, and I'm going to jump right over to Ray. Who would you rather see on third down, Jermaine Johnson or Will McDonald? Because Jermaine Johnson, to me, Ray, he's just not getting a pass rush. He's pretty good on the run, but I don't see him getting loose for the pass rush.
Yeah, I think they'll still go with more Jermaine Johnson, and at this point, I'm okay with that. I think Will McDonald still needs some time. I think he needs to put on a little bit of weight, but I think they should mix him in there. But as far as who plays more on third down, I would think that Jermaine Johnson will, because Patrick Mahomes is pretty elusive himself. He's able to move around. He's not a statue back there. So even if Will McDonald's in there, Mahomes is one of the best passers on the run there is. So I think we need to make sure it's a guy who can also, come back on the play. If it's a screen underneath, they might make a tackle that way. And I think that's more where Johnson could be good.
Ralph,
in
ahead.
case it's a draw or a inside screen or something.
Ralph, who was the team the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl to?
The Chiefs. Oh, Tampa.
Was it Tampa? Okay.
Yeah. Their offensive line was decimated and they couldn't block anybody.
Okay. So their offensive line now is better than it was
after that game, they made it their goal to build their offensive line. Yeah.
Right. But if I was to say to you, is the Jets defensive line better than that Tampa Bay defensive line? It really doesn't matter. You're not comparing apples to apples.
If you listen to the Jets, they are. They think they are. As of yet, no. By the end of the year, we'll see. But right now, no. They're just an average defensive line the way they're playing.
Right.
They couldn't sack Mac Jones. That's ridiculous. Mac Jones is not mobile. They couldn't sack him. I couldn't believe it. And like I said last week, they sacked him 12 times. So something's changed. Because the Patriots have trouble with their offensive line. Their offensive line has struggled. I was really shocked about that.
Yeah, it was. Now, I'm going to just jump over to another question. Just hear me out. Ralph, right after they signed Simeon Rice, I did a Jets 2-Minute Tuesday. And
Simeon Rice?
I'm sorry, it was
Trevor Simeon.
Yeah,
I'd rather have Simeon Rice.
Is it the same? It's not the same guy.
Yeah, they play a different position, but it's the same guy.
I'd rather have Jerry Rice. But
Right.
anyway, they signed Trevor Simeon, and I went on 2 Minute Tuesday, and I said that's not enough. Joe Douglas should sign Carson Wentz, carry 4 quarterbacks. I think he's got to think ahead, think outside the box. So just hear me out for a second before you guys pounce on me. And the reason I'm saying that, and if you ask the coach or general manager, they say, well, every spot on the roster is very important, especially for special teams. Special teams, because there's no real kickoff, it's cut down by like a third. So I God forbid another quarterback gets hurt, he's got to go into the fire again. So Ralph, what's your take on my opinion about getting a 4th quarterback?
I'd be happy with it if there's someone out there that excited me. He ends up picking Trevor Simeon out of all those guys, which is, such a letdown. The irony is Simeon a couple of years ago with New Orleans had 11 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in his time in there, and they went 0-4 in those games. So read into it what you will, but he couldn't even get much time with the Jets, Simeon.
Well, Ralph, you're the one that brought to my attention years ago too, when we talk about carrying 4 quarterbacks. In the year 2000, the Patriots carried 4 quarterbacks in Brady's rookie year, if you remember that.
That's right.
Let me bounce over to Ray. Ray, what's your take on that? Am I thinking outside of the box, or am I thinking like a crazy GM?
By the way, trivia question: who were the other 3 quarterbacks that they carried ahead of him?
Bishop, Freeze, and Drew Bledsoe.
Was it Freeze? I thought it was one of the Hewards, Brock, or
no.
It was Freeze.
I think it was Freeze. Ray, what's your take on that, carrying 4 quarterbacks? The way, and look, and my thinking is also is you got Aaron Rodgers went down, you got Derek Carr who's week to week, you got Jimmy Garoppolo, he was in the concussion protocol. You got Bryce Young who went down, who's going to play. But I'm saying these guys go down like crazy.
This is only 3 weeks into the season.
Yeah. So that's my thinking. Ray, what's your thoughts on my 4th quarterback?
It's kind of like what Ralph said. I'm not real thrilled about any that are out there. I don't know that they'd be a lot of help. And if you're bringing in guys into the quarterback room, 2 guys who don't know the system, who might be vets, but now you've got a quarterback room of guys who aren't really helping Zach. They're just trying to learn the system themselves. And then they've got to it's kind of a mishmash of stuff. I mean, an extra body would be great, but of the guys that I think they should have gone after, they're all gone, and no team's going to give up anybody who's worth anything. They're going to hold on to them because just for the reasons you said of all these guys who have gone down. I mean, if they want to bring in a 4th one, fine, but I don't think that I can see there's nobody out there that really I think will make a big difference other than we'll have a body in case somebody goes down.
Okay, now just while we're on the quarterbacks, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, in 2008, the Green Bay Packers in the same draft, they drafted 2 quarterbacks, Brian Brom and Matt Flynn. In 2012, the Colts drafted 2 quarterbacks, Andrew Luck, and in the 7th round, Chandler Hansworth, I think his name is. And in 2012, the most famous, the Redskins drafted Robert Griffin III and Kirk Cousins.
Right.
I don't think Zach Wilson's going to be back next year. I just think there's just too much baggage. Not his fault. I just think it would be a better for the team and for him if he started somewhere else. And the Jets, they don't have
He played somewhere else. He's not starting.
Right.
Yeah. I know you mean that, but I couldn't resist that.
All right. And and maybe, I don't know what the closest NFL city is to Utah, but maybe that would be the way to go. I don't know if it's LA. I don't know.
Well, it's Denver, and it's probably Sean Payton. He'll make anyone into a star, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's the only positive in this season so far is that Sean Payton's up in flames.
Right. But my thinking is this, that they don't have a 2nd round pick. They got their 1st round pick back because Aaron Rodgers is out.
Yay.
I would look to draft a quarterback in the first round and maybe the fourth or fifth round. I just want your opinion. I know I say stuff like this every year. I know Ralph Ray thinks I would draft 7 quarterbacks every year, and sometimes I feel like we should. So, Ray, what's your take on Marty's theory about drafting 2 quarterbacks next year?
I think you just explained my theory that, I mean, tell me who's available. I mean,
well, I'll say
maybe
this.
somebody who we aren't expecting is available.
I'll from what I hear, and I'm starting to dive into the draft. From what I hear, tackles and quarterbacks, it's going to be a pretty good year.
Just like the Zach Wilson year, that was the big quarterback year. You know,
I know, but Ralph, you got to hedge your bets a little.
I'm not.
You might find a Brock Purdy. You might find a Flynn.
Marty, I'm not denying that we should draft quarterbacks. I'm just saying don't believe that crap because they're wrong all the time.
Oh, I know. I understand that.
They as the years go by, these draft nicks, you realize, and even the teams, it's more of a crapshoot than it ever was. And you know, my favorite one, 2 quarterbacks were years ago. The Redskins with like the 5th pick drafted Heath Schuler from Tennessee. And then late in the draft, they drafted this guy, Gus Frerotte. And it became obvious, like within weeks of training camp, that Frerotte was a better quarterback than Heath Schuler. But of course, you make that commitment, and that guy is going to get a lot more. I think by the regular season, Frerotte was playing.
Yeah, but Ralph, even if you go back further, if you remember, the Jets drafted Joe Namath and Johnny Ewart from Notre Dame.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And I think they even drafted Archie Roberts. Was it that year, like with the 7th pick or something? That really was funny.
But that was the years they had like 24 picks.
Right. Yeah. You just grab anybody.
Anyway, Ray, we interrupted you, so give me your take, and you could roll your eyes, shake your head at your good friend Marty. I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't draft 4 quarterbacks, but yeah, 2 if they took one early. Although I'm not sold on taking one in the first round. Tell me who's available, where we're picking, and who's available, and all. Because my feeling is you can't draft enough linemen. So I'd rather see him draft 4 linemen than draft 2 quarterbacks. I just until we fix that offensive line finally for the first time in over a decade. We're gonna be talking about the same stuff every year about how we aren't doing as well as we should. We aren't protecting the quarterback. We can't run the ball. It starts with the line, not with the receiver and the running back and the quarterback. And until we fix that, so either if they don't sign a solid lineman in free agency, then I'm always going to say I'll take a lineman first.
Right, and as you say that, it's proof of the pudding is it looks like the Detroit Lions are on the right track.
Oh man.
As they focused on linemen, and it's coming to fruition. So, Ralph, you're not objecting to maybe drafting 2 quarterbacks either. Maybe
I'm not objecting, but I think you got to play the draft. I mean, Ray says offensive line. You said quarterback. I mean, who's the best offensive lineman and the best quarterback available at their pick next year? I think
Right.
So yeah, I'd be open to either of those. I think you have to, and I think the third element of this is what are the Jets' philosophy going to be if they do get a quarterback? Are they going to stick him in there, or are they going to sit him for a while? I don't even care. I don't care if Trevor Simeon's the quarterback. Well, they have to sit him.
Could I say this? And I'm not 100% sure. All Jet fans are 100% sure that we're going to get Aaron Rodgers back. So let's assume I'm wrong and we do get him back. To me, it's actually almost an ideal situation. You have him starting for a year, and then you have Caleb Williams sitting on the bench for a year.
So you're thinking we're going to be so bad we pick first?
I'm just using him. You could have Deion's son there on the bench too.
No, I don't want that guy for anything. But
well, he's going to come as a package deal with his father.
Yeah, I know it's going to be like the Alonzo Ball and his father, or Danny Manning and his father.
Alonzo Ball.
Alonzo, whatever his name is.
The Ralph. That's good. Hey, anyway, listen, a couple of things. I want to do a couple of shout outs. I was with my wife at Stu Leonard's shopping, and I saw a guy in a green Jet t-shirt. I want to do a shout out to Jerry Appaluccio, who's been a Jet since 1964. We had a nice little talk. And also on a little more serious note, a good friend of mine, Vinny Baroni of Valley Cottage, passed away. A huge, huge sports fan, big Jet fan. Ray, he reminded me of you. He used to sit watching a game with his dog on his lap, and he had a Jet scarf, the dog. So shout out to those, and condolences to the Baroni family. Okay, back to the Jets. Ray, are we going to see McCall Hardman make a catch on Sunday night?
Over under one, Ray.
Ooh. Well, I can't go with a wash, just one, but I think they'll get him one just because it's his team, and that's kind of the thing that would Saleh would do. Here, get you one against your team, so you can make a statement.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that, because I would definitely go 0 though, because I don't think he's on the radar, really. I
don't. Zach, the thing about Zach, and we've talked about it before, is that he tends to lock onto guys, and he also has his favorites, and so then he doesn't seem to see the other guys at times, and so
no, not at all.
Hardman, I don't even know he's on the field half the time.
I want to reiterate one point we touched upon, and I love Tony Romo, and I know he would stop the camera and point to the open receivers. And I said it last week. I said, look, I don't care if it's Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. They're not going to see every one of those open receivers like he's showing. Now, I'm not absolving him. He's over his head. But I just want to be fair about it.
No, I agree with you, Marty. The only one I know who could see every open receiver was Earl Morrall in the Super Bowl against the Jets. Yeah, I mean,
Jimmy Orr. Jimmy Orr is still out there.
Still waving his hand. I'm here.
Yeah, and by the way, not to change the subject, I just have to get this in. One of my all-time favorite athletes, Brooks Robinson, passed away, who was just an unbelievable ball player and very underrated on the offensive side of the ball. But watching him play third base was a true treasure. Okay, Ray, I'm going to start with you on this one, because you, in your group out there, you have a guy that he sounds like he's kind of analytical, and he's a real good Jet fan. And he mentioned that Sauce Gardner, if you watch closely, he's excellent on the long routes, but on the short routes, he's really maybe mediocre or a little above, and that some teams are now starting to target him in the short routes. Do you think that's going to be the case moving forward?
Yeah, the NFL is a copycat league, so if something works, you're going to see it every week. And that was Warren from our group, by the way, who is a good. He is a pretty analytic when he when he's watching the games. I like talking with him during the games because we kind of see a lot of the same things. But he had brought that up, and after he said that, I started watching. I think that's something Sauce is going to have to work on, because I think every team who has wait till we face the Dolphins, or wait till and even the Chiefs. I mean, they're going to have these fast guys who do the short routes, and he's going to have to learn to stick with them a little better.
Okay. Ralph, what's your take on it?
Yeah, to a degree, yes. I mean, it's tough to stop short routes in the NFL.
It is.
Period. I think they'll test him a little more, but yeah, like I said, I don't think he's bad, at least not yet. But he's definitely not playing with as much confidence as he did last year. I don't think he looks as physical. I'm not talking about tackling. I'm just talking about taking on the receiver. That was the thing that impressed me about Christian Gonzalez. Very strong.
Oh, that guy's good. That guy is what a ball player he is. BB got a good one in him.
Yeah, I hate to say it.
I know he did. Yeah. Okay, we're going to get to the trivia question, but just a couple things. I know it's early. We're going to do this throughout the year. It's the gun to your head segment. All right, here we go. We're going to start with Ray. All right, Ray, gun to your head. Is Zach Wilson on the Jets roster in 24?
No, not unless something drastically changes. No.
Ralph?
Meaning he's effective.
Okay.
I don't want to hedge and say, a lot of it depends on Rodgers, but I think, it's getting to the point where it's better if they cut ties with him
Okay, Ralph.
for everyone. Yeah.
Right. I agree. Ralph, for you, gun to your head, CJ Mosley, is he on the team next year?
No.
Okay. Ray, CJ Mosley.
Is he in the last year of his contract right now?
Yeah.
I think
Unless they already extended him one, I'm not sure.
I don't know. They might have restructured it, but I'm sure that they did it where they have an out. You got to go.
Yeah. I'm going to say no, but it wouldn't surprise me if they, gave him a 1-year deal at a decent price for both of them.
Okay.
I mean, if the team bottoms out, I wonder if he'd even want to come back to them. Yeah.
Right. Ray, Dalvin Cook.
That one's easy.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
No.
Ralph.
No.
All right. Anything else before we get back to the trivia question? Ralph, Ray? Ralph always has something to bring up.
Oh, gee, now I'm under pressure to come up with something. I actually thought of a great trivia question about third baseman when you brought up Brooks Robinson. I'll tell it to you after you do your trivia question.
Do it on the air, though. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Here's a question.
Before the trivia, what do you guys? I mean, what are you guys thinking as far as the game?
Oh yeah, that's right. The game.
You know what?
Yeah, we got to play a game.
I think the Jets are going to lose, but I think it's not going to be as one-sided as everyone thinks. And I'm thinking that the defense is going to come to play. I think they're going to just take their frustrations out. So I'm going to say the score is going to be like 20-16 Chiefs. Ralph?
Well, I think the dynamic in this game is going to be different because I think Kansas City will move the ball and score on the Jets. And I think if they get up a couple of scores, there's no way the Jets are going to be able to play that uptight offense. They're going to have to open it up, which is what Ray was talking about a couple of weeks ago with Zach. And I think Zach is going to get his chances to wing the ball around, and he's going to, either sink or swim, probably sink. But I think there'll be a little more offense in this game for the Jets, but I think they're going to be playing from behind, and I think it's going to be one good play, two bad plays for Zach. And in the end, I would say Kansas City 30-14.
Wow. Okay, so you think they're going to cover?
Yeah.
All right. And
what's the line? I didn't even notice.
I think it went down. I think it was 9.5. I heard today it might have got 8.5. I find that hard to believe, though.
Yeah,
it's unofficial. Go ahead, Ray.
I'm closer to where Ralph is. I was thinking 27-14. I think we will be able to do some stuff against their defense, but it's funny. It's not Zach that I think is going to be as much of the problem as I don't think our defense at this point has shown that they can stop anybody yet. So they play well at times, but Kansas City's got so many weapons that I want to see our defense actually stop them once in a while. And if they can't, it could get ugly, but I think we can keep it respectable.
Right. And, it's funny, Ray, you mentioned that the defense, and I thought of what Ralph said last week, and you just add on, the Jets have the last 3 games, they lost to the Patriots. The defense have given up 2 touchdowns. Is that right, Ralph?
The last 3 games, the Patriots, 2 touchdowns total.
2 touchdowns total in 3 games.
Well, actually 3, but one of them was a punt return.
Right. No, special teams. Yeah.
Special teams. Yeah. So I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. I mean, the Patriots just aren't that good offensively. That's
it's unbelievable. It really is. And they got suckered on that one play to that tight end that nobody heard of.
But, that was the Detroit Lion play on the other side of the field. I don't know.
That's right. Okay, back to the trivia question, and we're talking about the Jets and the Chiefs, and they've been rivals forever. Ralph, you remember I went to that Chiefs game in 1965.
That was the only one that really mattered.
Yeah, it was the coldest day of the year. Ray, I don't know if you ever went to the Jets game in Shea Stadium. If you're up in the upper decks after like October, you froze.
Well, you also had to have a seatbelt on because it was wind.
Yeah, and earplugs between the airports too.
Right, yeah, very,
But
very pleasant. And of course, they played on dirt infield,
that's
and
it.
it was
Yep.
unbelievable.
Yeah, talking about
The good old days.
cloud of dust.
Yeah.
They played 40 times. The Chiefs will leave in 2019, and one tie. The one tie was October 2nd, 1988 at Giant Stadium, 17-17 tie. Ken O'Brien was the quarterback. Now,
I
the
don't know how you
question
came
is,
up with this question.
who was the leading receiver that day? And within two, how many receptions? And I gave you multiple choice
Yeah,
to make it easier. Al Toon, Mickey Schuler, Freeman McNeil, Wesley Walker, or Kurt Sohn. That was Ralph's favorite play. We're going to call this, well, actually, the next segment, when Ralph asks the question, it's going to be the Bill Mazer trivia time. All right. So we'll start with Ray. Ray, what's your pick?
I'll go with Mickey Schuler, and I've got to pick the number of receptions.
Yeah.
13.
Okay.
good
Ralph?
guess. Well, obviously, it wasn't Al Toon. It wouldn't be a very interesting question. Kurt Sohn seems like the obvious choice, so it's too obvious. So I'm going to go with Freeman McNeil, 11.
Well, Ralph, we haven't kept score since we started the podcast, but it's going along with tradition because Ray is like, he's beating us both put together. Ray picked Mickey Schuler 13. Mickey Schuler that day had 12 receptions for 152 yards. So Ray, congratulations. You got the answer. That was great.
It's the last good tight end they've had.
All right, now we're going to have a bonus, the Bill Mazer bonus question from Ralph Schrager in honor of Brooks Robinson, one of Marty's
Right. In
players.
honor of Brooks Robinson, there have been 2 times in the history of the major leagues when both the American and national MVP were third basemen. Can you name the 2 years that they were? Who were the guys?
Wait a minute, it was the same year? Or
Yeah, American and National League, their MVP were third basemen in the same year.
it happened once?
It happened twice, two
Twice.
different years.
Well,
Yeah.
I would say 1964 was 1 year.
Yeah, who were they?
Well, I was going to say Brooks Robinson. I don't
Yeah.
know. And in the National League, Ken Boyer?
That's right, Marty. He was reading a sport magazine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. And there's another year?
there was another year.
Well, I don't know the year, but I would say one of them is Mike Schmidt.
That's exactly my thought. Yeah, I guess Mike Schmidt. I couldn't name the other one.
Oh,
But
but it did happen twice? Well,
It
wait.
did, and when you hear it, you're going to kick yourself. It's so obvious.
Well, it wasn't Craig.
1980.
That's right.
1980.
Yeah,
George Brett.
that's right.
Oh,
You
that's a
guys are
great-
good.
That's a great question, Ralph.
I had the second one. I didn't have the first one.
Yeah,
That's
I
okay.
knew it was
That's a split decision. That was great. So, all right. So, listen, we're going to close it out. We have the Jets play, I guess, kickoff time's about 8:15, 8:17, the Taylor Swift Bowl. And anything else, guys, before we close this out? That's it?
no, I just have to remember to wear my blood pressure monitor when I'm watching the game. My doctor said anything over 150, turn the game off. So that'll be after like 5 minutes.
yeah,
So,
first incomplete.
for Ralph Schrager, Ray Clifford, and Marty Schupak, enjoy the Jets game. Until next time.